You are Locked On Warriors POSTCAST, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors POSTCAST. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer from the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, the Warriors found themselves in another tight one against the Chicago Bulls and couldn't get it done, falling 125 to 122, but more importantly, losing Steph Curry in the process. Another ankle injury, and it didn't look good. Steph limped off the court and into the locker room after rolling his ankle late in the fourth quarter. To lose Steph right now, right after this team finally got healthy, right as the Warriors look to be gelling at the right time, this is devastating and absolutely kills the Warriors' chances of avoiding the play-in game. There were some bright spots, Kuminga, Klay, Moody, but tonight it's all about losing Steph, not the loss to the Bulls. We'll break it all down first. We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Thank you also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Cyrus does a really great job. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Tonight, man, I was all hyped to talk this Warriors comeback. You know, the fight, they looked great in the fourth quarter, had it all flowing, and things started to get wonky. Draymond fouls out, Steph gets injured, TJD, kind of messes up his knee. The Warriors had this one right in their hands, and this is a game that you got to win if you want to avoid those playing games, but it's more about the loss of Steph Curry. The Warriors are not going to be able to advance past anything if Steph misses some time. I mean, their strength of schedule isn't terrible. They could maybe stick around and make the playoffs if Steph misses some extended time. They'll still make the play-in tournament, but you can forget them catching the Suns, climbing to that 6 seed, climbing to the 5 seed. I was looking at the standings this morning, trying to see, they're only 3.5 back of the 5 spot. Is this possible? Can they get this done? Can they catch the Pelicans? Can they catch Zion? Can they catch Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper out there in the desert in Phoenix? No, flat out no. Without Steph Curry, they cannot do that. And this team could still stick together and make the playoffs, but they're not going anywhere without Steph. We all know this. You might sneak a win without him every now and again throughout the rest of the season, but the Warriors will have enough separation between them and the Jazz that they won't fall out of the 10th seed, but that ankle injury looked bad. And I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor, but with all the issues Steph's had with his ankles over the years, to see another ankle injury, it was his right ankle that he rolled as he drove the lane and went to plant on that right foot, and it just rolled right up on it as he threw the outlet pass to the corner. The Warriors have Chris Paul. They have Brandon Pajemski. These guys are great point guards. They're more than serviceable in players in the NBA. They're reliable guys. They're not Steph Curry. They're not superstar Steph. And Kuminga has been developing into a nice second option. He's blossoming into a superstar here in the NBA, but he's not quite there yet. He's definitely not ready to put the team on his shoulders and will them into the playoffs on a hot streak. And maybe he'll prove me wrong. I mean, he has been taking big steps forward all season long. If the Warriors want any chance, any slight glimmer of hope that they can mount a playoff run, if Steph doesn't come back, it's Kuminga. It's all on Kuminga. So we'll wait to see what the diagnosis is on the ankle. I'm sure Steph will have further evaluation done tomorrow, and I'm just really hoping I'll stick around, keeping the Twitter feed open, looking for any information I can find during the show for you guys. And it's just, this is a gut punch, man. This just takes all the breath out of you. This was a fun game. This was back and forth. It was gritty. Both teams just really wanting to win this one, fighting in the paint, fighting for rebounds. It was the Chicago Bulls starters just playing out of their minds, shooting the ball, and their bench was basically non-existent. But it didn't matter with the stellar mid-range game of DeMar DeRozan. So many mid-range jumpers that he got fouled on, drew fouls in smart, savvy veteran ways, using the pump fake, ripping up on an outstretched hand of Kuminga. So many three-point play opportunities for DeMar DeRozan. He finished with 32, but he didn't even lead the Bulls in points. That was Vucevic with 33, who was just picking and popping all night long, draining that mid-range jumper and a couple threes, getting in the paint, just really scoring at all three levels. And that's what that guy does. He also had 11 boards and 5 assists, kind of just doing it all. He's very quietly one of the best basketball players in the NBA. He's just up there in Chicago, and the Bulls are kind of not that exciting. By the way, DeMar DeRozan, just one of the all-time most underappreciated guys in the NBA. Just have you ever seen that much touch on a mid-range jump shooter since like Kobe left? I mean, he's the only guy in the NBA who still works at this like mid-range game. And I mean, Kuminga has a little bit of it going, but nothing anywhere close to DeMar DeRozan. And he also poured in 9 free throws. That helps, 8 assists, that also, or eight rebounds, 4 assists also help. 10 of 17 shooting for DeRozan. The Bulls really just got it done shooting the ball, and they actually outshot the Warriors from 3. The Warriors only made 11 threes on 42 attempts. It's only 26% from downtown. The Bulls 16 made threes on 36 attempts. So they shot less threes than the Warriors did, and they made more of them. So Warriors not usually going to win a game like that, and they still almost pulled it out. Klay led the way with 25 points off the bench, 5 threes, all by his lonesome. Almost half of the Warriors' points from beyond the arc came just from Klay Thompson. Andrew Wiggins only played 15 minutes in this game. That's concerning. We'll have to wait to see what Steve Kerr has to say about that as well. John Kuminga finished with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and Draymond Green poured in a triple-double, 10 rebounds, 12 assists, 11 points, but also those 6 fouls he fouled out. It was Draymond's first triple-double in over 2 years. Last one came back on December 20th of 2021, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to beat the Bulls. This was a very scrappy game, just back and forth all night long. There were a ton of lead changes. There were 22 different lead changes, 13 ties in this game, featured a lot of runs back and forth all night long. Warriors just couldn't get this one done. The Warriors did get to the line a lot in this one. That was something that I really liked from them. Kuminga really just looking to attack. He had 6 for 6 from the free throw line in the first half, finished 9 of 10 from the line, and the Warriors got there 28 times. And on a night when the 3 ball isn't falling, that's where you got to rely that's where you got to, bank your success. It's at the line. You got to continue to feed the ball to the big guys, to guys like Kuminga, Wiggins, guys who are going to get to the hole and get fouled and get to the line. Guys like Trace Jackson Davis, who had another really nice game tonight, and just a sick pass, man. Just one of the best passes I've seen from a big man in a long time. He after a Klay Thompson steal outlet pass went to Trace. He was kind of somewhere in the middle of the court, and he just flung it up court and somehow just laid it on a dime, just on an absolute dime to a streaking Warrior up the court, laid it in for the bucket. It was amazing. It was Moses Moody who laid in that shot. It took me a second there how to pull it out. It was right there. Moses Moody also played really well tonight. You could tell that the energy and intensity on the second game of a back-to-back really was coming from the Warriors youth, the Moses Moody's, the Trace Jackson Davises, the John Kumingas, the Brandon Pajemskis, who AirPods missed a layup there right at the end. That Warriors still had a chance despite the Steph injury going down with about 3 minutes left to go. Klay makes a huge 3 to put the Warriors up 1 with 40 seconds left, and I thought that was it. I started writing the game, the top of the, my opening lines first. I was like, Klay puts the Bulls to bed, and no, because DeMar DeRozan came back down to the other end of the court and did another one of his patented pump fakes, got John Kuminga up in the air off his feet, and drew the foul and somehow made the jumper and cashed in on that 3-point play opportunity. But the Bulls up 2. Brandon Podziemski had a chance to tie this one after a great screen from TJD off of pick and roll action, but he missed it. He was open. He had a good look, but it was a tough shot. He was twisting, he was contorting, he was using his left. He was trying to spin it with some English off the glass. It was not the easiest layup in the world, but it's a layup that you kind of expect AirPods to make with who he's turned into being, who we think he can be as one of the pieces of the nucleus of this team moving forward. And he just couldn't get it done. And you saw the look on his face afterwards. He just immediately put his head down, put his head in his hands, grabbed the headband, just pulled it over his eyes. He was beating himself up. And it was nice to see Trayce Jackson-Davis come up behind him and console him a little bit and let him know it's all going to be all right. It's just a loss to the Bulls. We will move on. We got another game on Saturday against the Spurs. 5:30 tip at Chase. Wemby coming to town. That's going to be something that we're all going to want to see. But story tonight is Warriors losing Steph. We're going to really hope that this is not a longer loss than just a couple days. But I don't have a good feeling about this. I really don't. I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor, but Steph's a tough dude. And when he's limping like that, I mean, he really tried to run through it and he just could not. He didn't come out right away. He looked like he wanted to try and walk it off or run it off, and he just couldn't do it. Had to go back to the locker room, be evaluated. We'll wait for more information as it becomes available. Stick with us. We got to talk a little bit more about Klay's really nice game off the bench and the Baby Dubs providing energy and grit. John Kuminga showing out again tonight. We'll break it all down. Stick with us here on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will be right back. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Sounds like the car for you if you live in the Bay Area and make some trips up to Tahoe. I know I did this last week, and it was awesome. It even has class-exclusive Google built in, and is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada, and it will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we got to talk about John Kuminga's night tonight. He provided a ton of energy for the Warriors, and we saw exactly what we've been talking about from him. He wasn't settling for jumpers. He only shot 1 3 tonight, 5 of 11 from the field. Not his best night shooting the ball, but he was getting to the line relentlessly and attacking, just constantly attacking the center of that Bulls defense, attacking the paint, getting to the rim, he really should have gotten there a few more times. We saw DeMar DeRozan just absolutely hack Kuminga, just full on slapped his arm. I don't know how that call got missed. It was pretty obvious to me, but missed calls happen in the NBA, and as we see with Steph almost every night. And he should have gotten there a few more times based on some missed calls. So all good signs from Kuminga. It really provides the Warriors a different way of winning games when he's attacking like that, when he's looking to get free throws. We talked about this on last night's postcast and how it's the combination of Wiggins and Kuminga and Draymond and this versatility that those three together can provide the Warriors, because they can switch almost anything on defense. Kuminga's taking leaps and strides defensively almost nightly. And tonight he did a really, really good job against DeMar DeRozan, despite all the points that he poured in. And I mean, he had 32 tonight, and he started this game. He didn't score until the very last play of the first quarter when he made a mid 3-pointer that he was fouled on and made the free throw. John Kuminga just kind of had his hand outstretched while he was in the defensive position, and DeRozan, being the savvy vet he is, just ripped right up through DeRozan's outstretched hand, draw the foul because the ref just hears the slap of the hand on the arm, and got his shot to go. Just strong, ripped it up through, still got the jumper to go, just really strong hands. DeRozan, one of the best mid-range jump shooters in this game. I'm going to go ahead and say the best one who's still around. It's a lost art, and it's really nice to see DeMar DeRozan still doing his thing, even if it resulted in a Warriors loss tonight. I've always been a DeMar guy. I don't know. I was bummed that, obviously we're all bummed when the Raptors won that championship, but I was kind of bummed that if the Raptors were going to win, that DeMar wasn't there, because he was kind of the guy who built that thing with Kyle Lowry up there in Toronto. They'll probably honor him in some way later on. We'll save all that for the Locked On Bulls and Locked On Raptors podcast, though. But tonight it's all about Steph Curry and his injury and what John Kuminga can do to help the Warriors going forward. It's going to be on him. It's going to be on his shoulders. He's the focal point of this team. You see it in the non-Steph minutes. The offense runs through him. They're looking to get Kuminga involved, and it will be interesting to see how Chris Paul can kind of make Kuminga take a little bit of another step forward, being the focal point of the offense, because Chris Paul is going to get him in good positions to score, get him in great position to drive the lane, get some buckets. It's going to be similar to the effect that we're seeing him have on TJD. It'll be helpful for Kuminga to have this experience. Whether or not it will be helpful for the Warriors' chances at winning anything in the playoffs this year, that's up for debate. It was a good effort from Kuminga tonight, especially there in the fourth quarter. You really saw him taking it to the rim with authority, throwing dunks down, two hands for safety. And you saw him use the same strategy when he got to the line earlier in the game a couple times, just taking flight, absolutely trying to end dudes in the middle of the paint the last couple games. Kuminga's on the verge of putting somebody on the coolest poster we've ever seen a Warrior put somebody on. I mean, we've got some cool ones, the Baron Davis, Andre Kirilenko. That's one that everyone always thinks of, and Jason Richardson, of course. Dunk contest, all those other just awesome windmill dunks he had in games, reverses, everything J Rich did was awesome. But Kuminga might be the best dunker of all of them when it's all said and done. This guy's leaping ability is next level, and we all know this. If you've been watching the Warriors at all for the last couple of years, the freak athlete that John Kuminga is, and they'll try to tap into some of that during this stretch. We got to assume Steph is not going to be out there for at least a couple games. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And the Warriors do have 2 games against the Spurs. The Spurs are not very good this year, despite the success that Wemby's had. They have a home and away against the Spurs coming up over the next 2. And they'll need to win those games if they want to keep pace in the West. You can't keep losing games to teams that are below 500. The Bulls, even with the win tonight, are still a game below 500. They have been playing very well on this road trip that they're on, though, and they are 8-2 over their last 10 road games. They've won all 3 on their current Western Conference road trip. So the Warriors ran into a team playing really well, playing good defense, who rebounds really tough, and they just couldn't get it done. Warriors lost the rebounding battle tonight. Warriors won the rebounding battle tonight by 8, 48-40. But you just felt at different points in time like Andre Drummond would come into this game and just starts just pulling down offensive rebounds, and seemed like there was not a lot the Warriors could do. Their response to that was Trayce Jackson-Davis getting out there and getting in the middle, but he can't do everything for them. Another thing that happened tonight, kind of interesting, happened kind of on the peripheries of everything, but Kevon Looney's consecutive game streak came to an end. He did not play tonight, a healthy scratch. And neither did Saric, because all of those minutes are going to Trayce Jackson-Davis, who you heard Steve Kerr say earlier, he needs to get more reps before the playoffs. He needs to get out there and bump up his average minutes played per game. Steve wants all the experience that Trace can have before he gets to the postseason, and he's relied on in a really crucial time to step up. And we saw tonight, he's playing out there in closing minutes tonight due to injuries, due to Draymond Green fouling out, and just the sheer size of the Bulls inside. Vucevic really commanding a lot from the Warriors, because Draymond Green is not big enough to just handle him on his own. That's why he had 33 points tonight, leading all scorers. And Trace Jackson Davis had 18 minutes tonight. That's about where Steve Kerr says he wants Trace Jackson to be, to build up his minutes too. So look for those minutes from Saric, from Looney, to kind of go to Trace. And, I'm Steve essentially said he's going to need both of those guys, especially Looney, in the postseason, in the playoffs. Looney, veteran, been there, done that. Saric also has been around for a while. He's got a ton of veteran leadership experience as well. But Trace is the talented one of the three. And not that the other two aren't talented, but Trace is the one who clearly has the most offensive ability. He clearly has a very good thing going with Chris Paul. And the Warriors will need to continue to ramp that up going into the postseason. It is kind of a bummer that we see Kevon Looney lose that consecutive games played streak. It's up over 250 games. And Saric is not been playing well. So it doesn't break my heart to see his minutes going to Trace Jackson Davis. I think that's a well-deserved move, well-deserved minutes, well-deserved reward Steve Kerr bestows upon TJD for his efforts as of late. He's really come around, and we talked for a whole segment on our last podcast about this and about the development of TJD and how we're really seeing him come into his own, and it's happening before our very eyes. The same way it happened with AirPods, the same way it's happening with John Kuminga, who this whole Warriors team will be predicated around going forward. We'll see two of the biggest and brightest young names in the NBA really featured going forward in the Warriors' next two matchups, as it's going to be Wemby versus Kuminga if Steph's unable to go. And I'm just kind of assuming right now that he is going to be unable to go. It's going to be interesting. So look for Kuminga to get a lot of run, a lot of opportunity to lead this team. It'll be interesting. I'm still poking around to see if we can find any updates for you. Steve Kerr said he does not know yet the severity of Steph Curry's injury and that he's got a foot in a bucket of ice right now. This quote, according to Danny Emmerman of the San Jose Mercury. He is one of my favorite people in the Bay Area sports scene. Shout out Danny Emmerman. So John Kuminga, it's all going to be on your shoulders, man, going forward for the next couple days. It seems like things don't look good with Steph right now. At least Steve's not just flat out saying he's out and we'll reevaluate later. So everybody hold your breath. We'll see what happens. Wait for some news. Stick with us. We got more to break down on the other side. This is the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We got to talk a little bit more about Moses Moody and the Baby Dubs providing all this energy and grit tonight, despite the Warriors falling to the Chicago Bulls 125-122. Draymond Green, triple-double. Klay Thompson, 25 points off the bench. But the Steph Curry injury looms large. Stick with us here on Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. If you're like me, you've got a few upcoming shows you're probably looking to go see. Dead & Company at the Sphere in Vegas, the Rolling Stones at Levi's, Blink-182 at Chase Center. It's going to be a busy concert season. I get my tickets with Gametime because I love their last-minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, and they even have a lowest price guarantee. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show you your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight we saw Klay Thompson really have another nice game off the bench. 25 points. We got to point out at least one bright spot tonight, and I think that bright spot was Klay. And there was a lot going on tonight for the Warriors. A Draymond triple-double, Moses Moody playing just absolutely just big minutes, just rising to the moment, getting his energy up, pulling down. He had a huge offensive rebound in this one where he just skied over two different Bulls defenders and somehow came down with it. I have no idea how he did. Resulted in the Warriors getting a couple of second chance points. Plays like that, you need to shine some light on, because Moses Moody been doing this for a long time. There's a lot of guys out there who are big Moses Moody stans. I wouldn't qualify myself as a Moses Moody stan, but Moses Moody is a very, very, very key component of this team. Very good player, reliable, solid, great defensively. We've seen his active hands. He's kind of filling in that Andrew Wiggins role, as we've talked about on this podcast before. He's kind of long. He's not the same physical athlete as Wiggins, because Wiggins is in the top tier of NBA athletes, but Moody is very long and quick and strong for his lankiness. You don't expect him to be as strong as he is, but he's got wide shoulders too. It's not just long arms. He got wide shoulders. It's not like Chet Holmgren, who looks like he's got a toothpick size, frame with just these like super long, like noodle arms. But hey, Chet's doing his thing. He does look a lot bigger this year. Obviously, he's in the Rookie of the Year conversation with Wemby, but it was nice to see all these different guys stepping up for the Warriors. Chris Paul added 15 points off the bench as well. It was obviously not enough, as the Warriors could not get it done. 125-122 was the final score, and the shooting just wasn't there tonight. And you have to assume that the Warriors aren't going to shoot 26% from three every single night, even with Steph out. Steph also wasn't shooting very well before he went out. He had 5 of 18 before the injury, just 3 of 12 from three. So without Steph, the Warriors were actually not terrible shooting from three. And if some of those threes went to other people, like say Klay or AirPods or Chris Paul, like these threes are also going to go in, not at the same clip as they would with Steph. The Warriors will try to tread water without Steph going forward. We hope this ankle injury does not persist. And in the meantime, we'll have to wait for John Kuminga to step up and rise to the challenge and put the team on his back and carry them into the playoffs. We'll see if he can do that. And there's no reason to think that he's not going to at least try to grow in this moment. I think that he will get better because of this. Whether or not that works out for the Warriors and their playoff chances this year is up for debate. Chris Paul will make John Kuminga a lot better in these coming days. I think if Chris Paul is indeed the guy who's slotted into the starting lineup, which I'm kind of assuming he will be, maybe they go a different direction and let AirPods kind of take the point guard role and slot Klay back in there, or Moses Moody or something to go along with Wiggins. But we'll see what they do. A lot of different possibilities for the lineup, but obviously a lot of those minutes are going to go to Chris Paul. And I'm really looking forward to see the strides that he can make with John Kuminga, similarly to how he's made strides with Trace Jackson Davis. That's about all the time that we have for you today on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Keep with us as we come at you live following the Warriors' next game versus the Spurs, 5:30 Saturday. It's also Filipino Heritage Night, so shout out Filipino Heritage Night. Shout out Wemby. Well, actually, no, not shout out Wemby, even though he's been really fun to watch this year. But for the next two games, not shout out Wemby. Let's go Warriors. Let's go Kuminga. Let's go TJD. It'll be interesting to see TJD squaring up against Wemby too. That's a matchup I'm going to be looking out for. Wonder if the Warriors go small against Wemby, if they're going to just leave Draymond out there and say, good luck, go push that tall guy around. So it'll be interesting to see how the Warriors scheme it up, how Steve Kerr schemes it up. And obviously, we'll keep our ears glued to the ground for news on Stephen Curry. Follow me on Twitter at Eric_Engel for all those updates. I'll keep you guys informed, in the loop, as soon as I hear things as well. That's about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much. And just want to real quick mention, Hunter Pence was on the broadcast today. And speaking of Hunter Pence and Giants baseball, I just want to let you all know we'll be coming at you live following all the Giants games this year too on Locked On Sports Bay Area. We'll be on the Locked On Giants postcast channel, Locked On Giants podcast channel. Join us. If you're looking at us on YouTube, you see the wonderful Barry Bonds photos, the Willie Mays photos sitting right behind me. We love our Giants baseball over here. And if you're a Warriors fan, I'm hoping you do too. So thanks for joining us. Stick with us as the Warriors play the Spurs 5:30 Saturday. We'll come at you live right after. This has been the Locked On Warriors postcast, and I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.